Hey, Joe Parner here. Hope you're well. Episode 86 of Insights has just dropped. This one simple thing can massively change your life. See what you think. Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 86. Great to be here once again. I hope you're all doing great. I'm so excited about today's episode. This one simple, massive thing will change your life. And I can't overstate this. Clearly, it sounds like I've overstated it, but I can't. It's very, very powerful what I want to share with you today. The simplicity of today's sharing, please, does not take anything away from the power of what we're about to have a look at. Just very quickly, for those of you, of course, who are have been following the emotional fitness work that I've been doing for all these years, you can now download for free a digital copy of the latest Insights magazine, which features 29 different authors, 44 pages of incredible content, with great insights into the human condition and all kinds of things related to emotional fitness and emotional well-being. All you need to do is just go to joeparner.com.au and you'll see it there. Just enter your details and you'll have instant access to a digital download of this magazine that, to be frank, I'm very proud of. So hope you enjoy and get great value. So let's now swing our attention over to today's episode, which is entitled, as you can see here, "This one simple, massive thing will change your life." That's a very strong statement. So let's just see whether you agree that what I'm about to share with you aligns to that statement. So first of all, so many people on the journey from ambition to meaning actually fail to realize their dreams, whatever those dreams might be. Given that most have to work full time, most people have to work full time and to finance their families and lifestyles, it doesn't seem to be a way out of this for so many people in the ambition-driven world or stuck in the ambition-driven world. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying the ambition-driven world is a negative thing and the meaning-driven world is a positive thing. It's just simply a phase of the journey of ambition to meaning. These are just phases, and there are a lot more sort of sub phases, but we haven't got time to get into that here. Perhaps time we can explore that in another episode. But we are all on this journey from ambition to meaning. And the meaning-driven world is a life of emotional, spiritual, and physical alignment, a life which brings profound joy and incredible satisfaction. So that's all, and that's all fine and well and phenomenal. But this episode is about helping anyone who is stuck perhaps in the wheels of procrastination or sabotage or busyness, where they're stuck in the ambition-driven world and desperately wanting to transition into the meaning-driven world. So let's just see if what I'm going to share here actually adds value to you. So let's have a look. So first of all, we all have what I call flashes of inspiration to do something or to learn something or to work on something, which we know matters to our business or to our personal lives or even to our relationships. And this is something I want to share with you very strongly, and that's this. The absolute poorest and most popular excuse that people have is, "I don't have time." What if I was to share with you the solution, the antidote, the way out of the quagmire of getting caught up in aimless, purposeless actions which only address dramas, obligations, and distractions? Now, to be clear, yes, we all have fundamental responsibilities, of jobs, picking up and dropping off children, our kids, family obligations, financial obligations, sporting obligations, and whatever else formulates part of our week. We all have these responsibilities and obligations. I get that. But that still can't be the excuse or the reason why we can't bring a dream alive, right? So let me introduce you to something that I believe is very special and very powerful. And as I said at the opening of this conversation here today, don't allow the simplicity of what I'm about to share with you minimize its very real impact. Now, this powerful insight comes from a fellow called John Soforic, S-O-F, that's F for Frank, O-R-I-C. The author of a book called The Wealthy Gardener, which is what I've been reading for about 15 minutes every morning. I just love this book. It's phenomenal. It's a beautiful fable. So here it is. Here is the insight that John Soforic shares in this beautiful book. And it's the concept of what's called an impact hour. An impact hour. So what does this actually even mean? An impact hour is an hour of focused, dedicated effort done at least 5 times a week, I reckon, to one specific task which directly leads to a specific critical outcome. I'll say that again. An impact hour is an hour of focused, dedicated effort to one specific task which directly leads to a specific critical outcome. This is the art and awareness of knowing what the right actions are rather than any action done right. I'll say that again. This is the art and awareness of knowing what the right actions are rather than just doing any action right. The power of an impact hour done consistently over a short period of time can create results most people will never achieve in a lifetime. Now, I love the saying, nothing can happen for decades, but decades can happen in a week. Oh, I love that. I'll say that again. Nothing can happen for decades, but decades can happen in a week. This is the essence of an impact hour, right? So let me share with you a true story that if you allow this story to, it can change your life forever. It's changed my life, and I'm excited to be sharing it with you here, right? This can massively increase this story. The chances, if we accept this story into our lives, this can massively increase the chances of the success that you are wanting, whether it's next level success for you or just simply getting started on something that matters for you. So this is a story about an attorney who worked for a very busy law firm where he dedicated a minimum of about 60 hours per week. He was married. He and his wife were having babies, and their time was very full of life, if that makes sense. Young children do this. In court one day, he was really moved, deeply moved by a testimony of a young rape victim. He felt so deeply impacted that he decided to write a novel inspired by what he heard that day. Now, writing a novel had ever entered his psychological orbit. Never. He's never written anything like this. He's never thought of anything like this. It's never been in his consciousness, nothing, except on this day, this was a flash of inspiration. Now, his regular start time at the office was 8:30 a.m. He began going in at 5:30 a.m. because he acted on this inspirational flash, on this intuitive hit, on this, this calling that he felt inside. And by the way, just as a side sort of comment here, is if he had a thought about that for more than 5 minutes, he wouldn't have acted on it. This is what happens to a lot of us guys. We get this calling to become something, do something, be inspired to embrace something, and then our ego comes in a few minutes later and gives us all the reasons why we can't. I'm going to dedicate the next podcast episode to go deeper into that exactly. So we'll get to that in the next episode. But let's just focus on this story for a moment because this is really just such an impactful story. Well, it was certainly for me. Hopefully you'll find it as impactful as I found it. So he went in, he decided he was going to write this book. But of course, 60 hours a week, working for a law firm, children and babies on the way, marriage, all the obligations, life was very, very full for him. So what he did was he started going in at 5:30 a.m. instead of 8:30 a.m. So he would do 3 impact hours. Now, what would he do? He would not answer any emails or respond to any messages. The mission between 5:30 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. was unconditionally dedicated to his novel. So these are what John Safari calls impact actions. 3 years he did this for. 3 years. Every morning of the week when he was working, that's Monday to Friday, he would dedicate somewhere between 2 and 3 hours of impact hours unconditionally dedicated to this mission. 3 years passed, and with his impact hours, he had his manuscript complete. He even was lucky enough, after trial and error, eventually he got it published. Like within a few months, someone took it on. The book was called A Time to Kill. The author's name, John Grisham. John Grisham. Despite the book being published, it initially commercially failed dismally. But guess what? He kept up his impact hours. He kept writing. He kept it up. His next manuscript also got published. This book was called The Firm, which, as we know, became a famous movie starring Tom Cruise. The book was an international bestseller, and sales on his first book, A Time to Kill, took off as well on the back of The Firm, and that became also a famous movie starring a whole host of megastars as well. That's the first book, A Time to Kill. And suddenly he was on the international stage. He remembers actually in an interview with Reader's Digest, or I think it was Writer's Digest rather, he remembers receiving a letter from Stephen King saying something along the lines of, "Welcome to the big time." Wow, how amazing. John Grisham, of course, is now a household name. and has contributed hugely to anybody who loves reading thrillers. He's a legend, a true legend of based on every definition of the word. It all began with one impact hour. What will you dedicate your impact hour to? Whether it be to something personal, something spiritual, something that's commercial or businessy or financial, an impact hour done consistently will deliver you the result of a critical outcome. Love this. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope I haven't oversold this or overspoken this, because there's nothing more powerful than an impact hour. And let me just repeat what I was sharing earlier, because I feel very strongly about this. The poorest reason you could ever have to not do something is that you don't have time. Let me share this with you as we wrap up this episode. You've all heard the cliche that we all have the same hours in the day, right? But guess what? We don't all have the same number of days. So you don't know when it's going to be over. For me, when I read this book, The Wealthy Gardener, when I was inspired by this story of John Grisham, it set the metaphorical proverbial fire on my butt to keep up with the actions I'm taking in the background, silently creating content and writing my book, which has been going now for a number of years. And I know that now I'm going to be landing on a manuscript so soon, like in the next month or two. And I know that many of you have been saying to me, "Oh, when's the manuscript coming? When's it going to be ready?" and all this kind of thing. All I know is that it's going to be worth the wait, because the dedication, the intricacy, is that the word I'm looking for? The intricacy of what I'm making sure this book is messaging is hopefully going to be profoundly powerful for so many people. And so the point I'm making is, what impact hours can you what can you use an impact hour in your life for? Look, it could be for a project in your house that really is important to you, that you've never it's been, there's been maybe, I don't know, some aspect of your garden that hasn't been touched for 5 years because you haven't got time. Well, what if you just created an impact hour, maybe 3 hours a week, just doing that, where it's a purely unfiltered, dedicated, unconditionally focused action on one particular mission. I love this concept. I love it very, very much. I hope it has inspired you as much as it has inspired me. And I hope you enjoyed this episode, albeit very brief, but I think that's pretty handy. 12 minutes is pretty good. That's time for a cuppa, isn't it? 12 minutes is about covers the time of a cup of hot tea or a hot coffee. Love it. So there you go. Signing off now. So enjoy. And as I was saying at the very beginning of this episode, for those of you who love and resonate with the emotional fitness messaging that I've been sharing here for a little while, and the journey from ambition to meaning experience, the latest magazine of insights, you can download it for free on joeparner.com.au. Some phenomenal articles by some beautiful people that I have personally handpicked and accredited in my emotional fitness framework formula. That's a mouthful, let me tell you. And yeah, very, very proud of that magazine. So hopefully you get the joy and value that I've experienced in creating it. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.